It's VJ here with Flex Sport. We're joined by Matthew Macklin. We've just seen the live weigh-in. I know we've been saying this quite a bit, but it does feel good to be back, having fans back. How do you think it went today at the weigh-in?
Yeah, I'm just going to echo what you said again, because you're right, it is so good because, you know, we ploughed through COVID and we did what we had to do in terms of behind closed doors, no crowd, but it felt weird, man. And I think a lot of the fighters struggled without that energy of the crowd, some more than others, you know, but even just at the weigh-in here today, and Newcastle always has fantastic energy, fantastic noise, but it was just great to be here and see it and get the buzz back because we've missed it.
And before we start talking about the fight this weekend, I just do want to take it back a couple of weeks. Obviously, the first show of the new Sky Sports and Boxer partnership. The main event got pulled on the day or the day before, which obviously was a big upset for Eubank, who's fighting today. But what a fight it turned out that the main event was. David Evanesian was in a great fight. How do you think the first show went overall in this new partnership?
Yeah, look, it was obviously not ideal what happened in the Eubank fight, but shit happens, and especially in boxing, you know, medicals and different things can happen, weights, you know, it can go wrong, but people travelling over, and especially in these times when it's all the testing and different situations, but all in all, I thought it was a good show. I thought there was a few sort of you know, English title eliminator area level fights, so maybe in terms of the level of the things weren't so high up. But when we had the European title fight, so that strengthened the card from that point of view. And I know it was only a round and a half, but it was a good round and a half. You know, Evanesian looked like a little beast, didn't he? Tasmanian Devil just, you know, walked through Liam Taylor. But Liam Taylor done his best, he stood his ground, and he you know, he gave it his all, and it was a really exciting 1.5 rounds. A couple of really good fights on the undercard that were competitively matched, and good atmosphere again. It was a good crowd, so it was all in all, first one and everything, I thought it was okay.
So you just touched on atmosphere then. We're up in the northeast. We was at the press conference yesterday. Obviously the weigh-in today, it was lively. We're probably going to expect a lot more tomorrow. 11,000 in the stadium. They said it's nearly sold out. Do you think it's going to help the fighters? There's a lot of Newcastle people on this card. How do you think it's going to help them in that aspect?
Yeah, well, over the last few years when we've been up here for the Lewis Ritson fights, you know, we've said among ourselves, this is one of the best atmospheres you will ever experience. I mean, the crowd go wild. They are. The Geordies are off their rockers, man. You know, they are. You know, it's fantastic atmosphere and energy when the boxing's on up here. So I think they'll get behind all the local fighters. There's a pro debut of Mark Dickinson. He was a good amateur. Savannah Marshall's obviously world champion, not Newcastle, but Hartlepool up the road. Through the card as well, there's a cruiserweight from Middlesbrough. You know, there's a good mixture of people that'll probably draw from different fan bases within the area. So you mentioned it's almost sold out or is sold out. So I think the atmosphere and the noise and the energy will be electric.
And do you think it's been a conscious effort from Sky Sports and Boxer to bring a lot of these youngsters through that are from Newcastle, obviously this area in particular? As I said, there's a lot of them on the card. It's a really, really big opportunity for them, and it's like Sky Sports and Boxer are fully backing them.
Yeah, look, you got the McCormicks from up here. They're two twins, amateurs, exceptional fighters. They're going to turn pro. You got Mark Dickinson, who's making his pro debut on the undercard. He wouldn't have the profile, or he didn't achieve what they did, but he was still a top class amateur. Missed out on the Tokyo Olympics, but he's making his pro debut on Saturday night, tomorrow night. So, you know, there's I think Sky want to get behind, really push Boxer in the way they did Matchroom in the early days and go around the country, go around the whole of the UK, and, you know, get because to put a show on here. This show goes on tomorrow night here now. It brings attention into the area. You know, young boxers that'll go to the show, maybe their mum and dad will get them a ticket and they'll go and they'll probably have the best night of their lives and the experience. Nothing. I want that. They go back into the amateur gym then. Young kids need heroes. You know, they need people to try and aspire to be like, to emulate. So it's important, it's crucial that the show goes around the whole of the UK so every area can experience and sample that atmosphere, because young kids need dreams, they need heroes to chase.
Most definitely. And speaking of dreams and heroes, we've got a female headline in the bill, world title, Savannah Marshall. Do you think it's important that Sky Sports try and carry on with boxing what they started with Matchroom, which was really sort of pushing female boxing, and that partnership got it where it was today. So do you feel it's very, very important that they carry that on now with boxer? And it seems like they are doing, obviously having Savannah Marshall topping the bill here this weekend.
Yeah, look, I think Katie Taylor was the flag bearer for that, certainly over here. Well, I think globally she was. Her outstanding ability was so profound and great that, she was a big part of women's boxing becoming an Olympic sport, because she was so outstanding. When somebody just transforms things, that's what she did. And on the back of that, you've got lots of people that have come also right behind, Clarissa Shields, Savannah Marshall, outstanding, really, Natasha Jonas, Terry Harper. It's gone 5 years. When was it? Over 5 or 6 years ago, women's boxing wasn't really on television, wasn't really a thing. Jane Couch ploughed on for years, didn't she, and never really got any support or backing, and she did really well, but she never got the support of the media or of the people, really, not for what she deserved. But nowadays they are getting that. They are getting the opportunities. They are getting the slots on the platform. They're getting the airtime on television. The media people are writing about them, and rightfully so. So Savannah Marshall headlining here, that's it's groundbreaking, and it's good to see, and long may it continue.
And not only that, the women's boxing fights seem to be some of the best that we watched, and tomorrow's probably more of the same. Obviously we've got April on there as well. It seems like it's going to be a good fight. Bavington comes for a scrap, we know that. So yeah, long live the women's boxing, and may it continue. Just quickly before you go, a few predictions for tomorrow. How do you see it going with a few of the main event fights?
I think that Eubank Jr. is going to blast this guy out. I think the guy's got a good record, but it's padded. He hasn't been with anyone of Chris Eubank Jr.'s level at all, and I think Eubank Jr. I think he wanted rounds against Marcus Morrison, and Marcus Morrison's better than people think, but I think he wanted rounds. But I think I don't think he'll hang around on Saturday night. Hughie Fury, I'm looking forward to see what improvements and adjustments he's made. I think Savannah, she's knocked out 6 of her last opponents. I think that'll be a knockout win. I think Brad Ray and Jez Smith on the undercard, no one probably talking about that because they're relatively unknown. They haven't really been on television regularly, or there wouldn't be household names or anything. Only people within the trade of boxing would know who they are. But I think that's going to be a really competitive fight. That could be the fight of the night.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time, Matt. Appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers.